So, the biggest nerfs and buffs from the spring patch. It has taken some time to put this video together. I've been going over all the gun tweaks, picking out a selection of weapons that I feel like either had major nerfs or buffs, or a combination of the both. Not everything is good, there's going to be some changes that's going to get some hate from you guys. But anyway, let's begin with the RPK 74M LMG. If you've watched my previous videos over the past couple of months, you should know this LMG almost got a complete overhaul. Not only is it a much more viable weapon, it's actually a very unique LMG. What makes it so unique is its damage mod. It's been increased to do 30 upfront damage, then going down to 20 at 65 meters. Even though it doesn't have the exact bigger damage mod like the M240B or the M60, just like these LMGs, you still only need 4 bullets to kill your target in close range and 5 bullets to take care of your target at long range. The RPK-74M is the only mag-fed LMG that has this kind of damage, which is really cool, seeing as their standing still and on-the-move spread values are less than the belt-fed LMGs. Even though it only has a 600 RPM rate of fire, it can still easily kill your target in close range. Even medium and long range is perfectly fine and can be extremely accurate combined with a heavy barrel, which is what I'm using in the gameplay footage. You may have also noticed I'm not using any kind of underbarrel as well, seeing as they did get their spread decrease nerfs. But overall, I highly recommend to give this LMG a go. I'll lock some attachments for it, give it a fair chance. I'm sure it'll make your top 10 guns in the game. And moving on to the assault rifles, let's focus on the Scar H. The main reason why I've included it is because it always had a fairly bad characteristic. For whatever reason, since Battlefield 4 was released, it had a really low muzzle velocity of 410 meters per second. With the spring patch, it's finally been bumped up to 500 meters per second, which that in itself isn't really that impressive, but still, it's a very warm welcome I'll happily take. Obviously, this is going to help out with taking care of targets at long range, but I still think the Scar H deserves a muzzle velocity of around 600 or so. I really don't think it'll make it that overpowered in any way possible. Also, it's worth mentioning its suppressed muzzle velocity has also been increased from 300 to 330 meters per second. And staying with the assault rifles, the Ace-23 had a buff that I think is worth mentioning. You probably already know about this because this change actually came out to CTA a long time ago. But for those who don't know, the Ace-23 has a larger magazine size from 30 to 35 rounds, or 36 if you have one chambered. It might not sound like much, but it's actually a pretty major tweak, because this enables a player to kill one more target in close range before needing to reload, which gives you a pretty big advantage in those close range heated moments. Though it's not all positive tweaks for the Ace-23. To balance it back out, its side-to-side recoil and first shot multiplier has been increased. Also, its empty reload has gone up very slightly. But regardless of these nerfs, I would say overall it's made the Ace-23 a much more effective assault rifle. So let's talk PDWs. Remember, like I said in my last video, all PDWs got a global accuracy increase. Their max spread has been decreased to 1.3 from 1.5, but let's focus on the AS-VAL. Unfortunately, this weapon lost some of its damage, but it still remains a 4 bullet to kill your target in close range. It used to do 29 upfront damage, which was pretty insane for a PDW that has a rate of fire of 900. But after the spring patch, it does 27 upfront damage, but like I said, it's still a 4 bullet to kill in close range. As for buffs, its recoil is mostly easier to handle. Its vertical recoil has been lowered and its first shot multiplier has been reduced by quite a lot, actually, from 3.5 to 2.55. Though it does have a little more side-to-side recoil on the left side, so just watch out for that. Moving on to my new favourite PDW, the MPX. Even though this weapon did get a damage nerf, however, with all the positive tweaks it did get combined with the global PDW accuracy buffs, this thing is a complete powerhouse for close range, hell, even some medium ranges. You'll see during this gameplay here, I'm trying to cap the D flag, and the MPX is just taking out targets so quickly. Like I said before, it has lost its high damage mod of 26 up front, but after the spring patch it's now 24.5, which is actually still a really good number for a couple of reasons. In close range you can still dish out as much damage as some assault rifles and LMGs, and with it doing 24.5 damage, it still has the ability to double headshot kill your target in close range. To top this off, the MPX can carry more rounds per mag from 25 to 30, which means you can kill one more enemy player before needing to reload, which is extremely handy. It also had a slight increase in accuracy by decreasing its spread increase per shot, though it did have its first shot multiplier raised, so expect a little bit more kick on your first shot. just like the Ace-23, even though it does have more recoil to deal with, but having that increased mag size really helps out a lot more than you can think. Also, it's worth mentioning that the MX4 PDW had some much needed recoil tweaks. Before the patch, it had huge amounts of side-to-side recoil to the point I never actually even bothered using this PDW. However, all that insane side-to-side recoil has been toned down by quite a lot, and its first shot multiplayer has been decreased, so if you're bored and want to play around with a new weapon, the MX4 is a good option. Let's talk about sidearms. The G18 pistol had a ton of tweaks, almost 90% of them being buffs, and the nerf it did have wasn't even that bad. Its mag size has been reduced from 20 to 18, so 2 less bullets. But for positive tweaks, surprisingly it had a damage increase. Up front it used to do 18 damage, it's been increased to 22. Its minimum damage of 10.8 has been increased to 12.1. Its spread increase per shot has been almost lowered by 50%, so it's going to take longer for bullets to start flying all over the place. Its horizontal and vertical recoil has been lowered by a pretty decent amount, and overall its accuracy when aiming down sight and hip firing has been improved. Honestly, I never used this sidearm before because I didn't really like its stats. I tend to go for the sidearms that have a one-shot killing potential, but I did give it a fair shot in a pistol-only server, which I'm showing off in the gameplay here, and it performed extremely well, so I'm actually considering changing sidearms in a few of my loadouts to the G18. And moving back to the LMGs, I want to talk about the M240B. Even though every belt-fed LMG got a higher max spread value, which means this will punish players that tend to just hold down the trigger, the M240B actually got some pretty awesome improvements. Its spread increase per shot has been lowered, which will help with accuracy, especially if you're 3-round burst, and also its vertical recoil has been reduced from 0.6 to 0.48, which is a pretty massive improvement. Even its side-to-side recoil has been lowered, which has made the M240B a much more controllable weapon. The M60 also had very similar recoil tweaks, so I highly recommend to try these out if you previously didn't like to use them. So let's talk shotguns. Like I said in my previous video, shotguns had a ton of improvements. Generally speaking, every shotgun is a lot more consistent and can deal more damage at a further range. I think this gameplay here is a really good example of just how effective shotguns can be at different distances after the spring patch. However, I want to focus on the UTS 15. On top of the global shotgun buffs, this weapon has seen additional accuracy tweaks. With lower spread values, its spread increase per shot has been drastically lowered, and even hipfire accuracy has been increased. Seeing as the UTS 15 has the second highest pellet count of 20, combined with the accuracy increases, attach a laser sight and you'll be an almost unstoppable hip-firing killing machine in close range. Even at medium range, I was actually pretty surprised it can still perform very well. This weapon is probably my new favourite shotgun now since the spring patch with all the tweaks it had, and I also really like how it can carry 15 shells, which means it can potentially take out 15 enemy players without needing to reload. I also want to mention the Hawk 12, Spaz 12, and the 870M CS shotguns also had similar tweaks, so you may want to try them out as well. So let's talk about the bolt actions. The CS LR4, L96A1 and the M40A4 had their rounds per mag decreased by half, which you probably have already noticed in game. I've seen a lot of people hate this change, especially to the M40, seen as it's such a popular rifle. Other than that, the Scout Elite actually got its rounds per mag almost doubled from 6 to 11, and the CS5 has less bullet drop, which I think is a really good move by DICE. I don't really see too many people using the CS5, mainly due to its really low muzzle velocity. But anyway guys, that's it for my biggest weapon nerfs and buffs video. Make sure to let me know if you like or dislike the tweaks to the guns I talked about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.